Hello, welcome to the first video. So I will review a little bit about arrays, how to create, and then maybe in the second part of the video, or we will talk about how to extract elements from the array. So in the first review, let us go with create an array A. So if it is not sequential, you all know that you can type in the values like that, and there is a semicolon there at the end. So I'd like to do everything in the command window so you can see the results right away instead of hitting run every time. So, and then right now I don't want to hit enter yet, so because then I put semicolon, I don't want to see the results yet because it shows. So if I wanted to make a two-dimensional array with 2 rows and 3 columns maybe, so I'm going to put this bracket and then say 1 4 and 5, and then this is the first row, and the second row also 3 elements, so it would be 3 columns, so it would be, let's say, 3 3 and 7. So if I put semicolon, so I have A, let me just check, and I have B right there. So A is a 1 row and 3 column, and B has 2 rows and 3 columns. So if it is not, none of the elements are sequential, you can see there's a space, a gap between any two pairs are not same. 2 to 5 is 3 and 5 to 7 is 2, so it's not same. So you have to type those in to create the arrays. Now we also talked about sequential arrays lossless. So if I wanted to create a sequential array, you always start with the first value first. So this is the first value, and then put a colon, and then you put the increment. So let us say I'm going to increment 0.25, and then colon, and then the last number. So if I hit enter, so I have like 1, and this is the first element, second element. So between the elements, the difference is 0.25, which was set up as increment. And if you look at the second element and third element, so also the increment is 0.25 between 1.25 and 1.5, and same with all of them. So 1.75 and 2 is increment is 0.25. So if we also look at how many elements I got, like by looking at this, I didn't know off the top of my head how many elements I'm gonna end up getting. So but after I hit enter, then I know that I can count like 1 2 3 4 5, there are 5 elements. So what if you are given you are asked to create an array, and you know your first element, you know your last element, however you want total 7 elements between 1 and 2, including 1 and 2. What do you do if you know what would be your increment? It would be you can calculate increment, but let's assume that you know the start, you know the end, and then you are asked to create only 7 elements total instead of 5 for this case, 1 2 3 4 5. So if that is the case, there is a built-in function that we can use. It's called linspace, or linearly spaced, linspace, linspace. And the linspace function takes 3 values. It in the parentheses you need to specify what is your first element, what is your last element, and how many elements you want. So my first element is 1, my last element is 2, and I want 7 elements there. So I put in 7. Okay, so one more time, if I type this in, so often let me put this line. So if you wanted to use a linspace, in the linspace it requires a start, end, and number of elements. So the function linspace takes A is for start, B is for end, and N is for number of elements. So this is how you would write that function. So if I hit enter, then I get 7 elements, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and Matlab automatically figure out what would be the increment for the or between the numbers. So it automatically calculates the increment. But if you are asked to do this, you can calculate increment yourself too. So if you look at this is the first element, this is the last element. What is the total difference between 2 minus 1? So 2 minus 1 is 1. So they're like 1 is the total difference between first and last. So how many division do I have? So if you look at here, between these two numbers there is one space. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Where did the sixth come from? Like the total 7 elements, so that means there are 6 spaces between the elements. So which is like 1 less than the number of elements. So if I know that the difference between 2 and 1 is divided by 6 elements, so basically increment, if I type in increment, which is I will have 2 minus 1, and I'm dividing by 7 was the number of elements minus 1, then I will get 0.1667. So that's how that's how you can calculate the increment. So if you can calculate increment using this formula, then you could use these relations also to create this array with 7 elements. So let me just do x2 separate array, which would be start is 1, and in the increment I'm going to type in this thing, which is last minus first divided by number of elements minus 1, and then colon and the last. So this would be identical to this guy. Y and x2 are identical arrays. So what if somebody says, well, create 10 elements? Again, you could calculate this, but again, it would be a lot easier if you simply use the linspace function and put in 10 right here, and then it shows the 10 10 elements total. So there's like column 1 to column 10. What if I wanted 11 elements? So if you look at between 1 and 2, this is like 1 is divided by 10 elements. So that means there are 9 spaces. 1 divided by 9. Is that how the increment was that determined? What if you wanted to choose 11 elements? Then it would be a lot easier, and because between 1 and 2, if you choose the increment is 0.1, you'll get 11 elements. So this like 1, 1.1, 1.2, and so on, but you have to have 11 elements there because there are 10 divisions. So 1 divided by 10 is 0.1, so that would be your increment. So this is how you can create. So this is very useful function, linspace. So keep that in mind. This is how you would create linspace function. All right, so now another thing that we talked about. So I'm gonna close this and then bring back one of this, and then I'm going to change this, say 0.0217. So it's literally weird number that in as an increment. So I don't know how many elements there will be. So, and if I hit in like enter to see the values, it's going to be a lot of values. So I'm going to put a semicolon, and then right away, if I see in the workspace, it looks like 1 by 47. So there are 47 elements there in this array. So if you simply type this in your script file, you never work your code by looking at the answer. So if you type this in, I wanted to know how many elements there are in this array X. So then I could say L underscore X, which is indicating length of X. Then simple function is length length and X, and then hit enter. Then it will tell me there are total 47 elements in X. So this is how then. So if I am writing a code, I need this number. So you simply type in this, hit semicolon, this L underscore X will have 47, the number 47 that you needed to figure out. So hope that will clarify this, and then you will keep using this length. However, let's bring back my array B, which has 2 rows and 3 columns. If I do length on this, say L B is length of B, and interesting, it shows only 3. So there are 6 elements, but it shows only 3. So obviously it's not representing, it's not giving me what I want, but in 3 is also a meaningful number. That means there are 3 columns, right? So it is showing 3. Why is it showing 3 and not 2 rows and 3 columns and not, like, 6 numbers? So if I look at the size, like if in this is an array, and what is the size of the array? So every time people ask, like, what is the size, it means you indicate how many rows and how many columns. So if I do s underscore b, which is size of b, and there is another built-in function called size, and b, and enter, there are 2 numbers it prints. The first one is the number of rows, and second one is the number of columns. So you can see there are 2 different numbers coming up from the size function, and since it is a multi-dimensional array, and you should not be using length, because length is only if you do, then you might get confused with only one number. So, and you don't know if this could be a row number, this could be a column number. So what it does is length is looks for the highest or maximum out of these 2 numbers, so 2 and 3. Whichever one is maximum, that's what it is returning right here. But ideally you need to know how many rows and how many columns. So every time you use a size, there's an easy way to do it. Like, I need 2 information, row and column, so I can do R and C together equals to, say, size of B. Then I have R equals to 2 and C equals to 3. So row is 2 and then column is 3. Hope this will be more useful, and we're going to use this a lot later on. So don't get confused at this time if it is introduced for the first time. So I will stop this video, and then there will be second part. I'll show you how to extract elements from an array.